CNBC TV 18, embarking on a quarter century of excellence.
Key Wall Street indices gain for the seventh straight week. The rally continues after a dovish policy by the Fed. The Dow Jones and Nasdaq both set record highs on Friday. Stocks in the Asia-Pacific trade largely lower this morning ahead of Bank of Japan's policy meet beginning later today. The GIFT Nifty is also indicating a lower start for the Indian market. And crude prices rise to over $77 a barrel as dovish commentary from the Fed improves the outlook for demand. Some stocks in news today. Z Entertainment requests Sony to extend the effective date of merger from the 21st of December. Mazgon Dock wins a $42 million contract from a European client to build a 3-power hybrid vessel, while 9 people lose their lives in an explosion at Solar Industries' plant in Nagpur. And sources say the government is likely to table the Telecommunications Bill 2023 in the Lok Sabha today to replace the 138-year-old Indian Telegraph Act that governs the telecom sector. The draft bill had proposed to bring internet-based calling and messaging apps under its ambit to enhance users' safety, and also proposed the curb of power to power the Telecom Authority of India. Good morning and welcome to Power Breakfast. I'm Pavitra. Those are the top headlines that you're looking at this morning. There's a lot for us to talk about coming out of this weekend. But first, let's get a check on what's really going on across global markets. We got pretty good, a handover from the U.S. markets. We have the Dow and Nasdaq both setting record highs. But you don't have Asia, which is doing too well this morning. There is a Bank of Japan policy meeting, so maybe some caution ahead of that. And you do have the Nikkei markets, which are really leading the losses. So that's down around 400 points right now for the Japanese market. It's anyway not been having the best kind of few sessions for the Nikkei markets. If you take a look at even a 1-month chart, it's down over 3% on that index. Some of the other indices are on your screen as well. So the Hong Kong market is down 144 points. You have Taiwan, which is also around 0.25% in the red. And for all Asian markets, you are seeing, at least some red come through right now. It's not too severe, but Straits, Shanghai, all of these a little bit lower as we kickstart things. The implied open for our own markets will also come up on your screen. It looks like we'll start around 80 points in the red, but let's see how things really move from there. So that is the shape of Asia right now. Let's talk about the U.S. Wall Street ended Friday's trading session mixed. So the Dow Jones ended around 55 points higher. The S&P 500 was down a little bit, so was down around 35 points. And the tech-heavy Nasdaq was up around 50 points at the end of the trading session. Now remember, this was the 7th straight week of gains that we're seeing for Wall Street. In fact, all of these indices have now gained more than 2% for the week, almost 3% for the Dow and Nasdaq as well. So it's been a good run for the U.S. markets. But staying with the U.S., let's also listen in to New York Fed President John Williams, because he pushed back on the euphoria around central banks easing rates next year. And he said that we aren't really talking about rate cuts right now. He tells CNBC Steve Leisman. So listen in to some excerpts from that interesting conversation.
First of all, we aren't really talking about rate cuts right now. We're very focused on the question in front of us, which, as Chair Powell said, the question is, have we gotten monetary policy to a sufficiently restrictive stance in order to ensure that inflation comes back down to 2%? That's the question in front of us. That's what we've been really thinking about for the past 5 months, and I think we'll be continuing to think about for some time. So that's the topic of discussion for the committee. That's the decision we made to hold the Fed funds target where it is. The discussion really at the FOMC right now is about, do we have monetary policy today in the right place, and not speculating on what will happen at some point in the future. Still a highly uncertain situation, both in terms of inflation, in terms of the progress of the economy. So right now, I think the base case, at least I'll speak from my own view, the base case is looking, pretty good. Inflation is coming down. The economy remains strong. Unemployment is low. And so when you think about have we gotten policy to the kind of appropriate place, it's looking like we are at or near that in terms of sufficiently restrictive, but things can change. One thing we've learned even over the past year is that the data can move in surprising ways. We need to be ready to move to tighten policy further.
All right, that is an important word coming in, but let's also bring you some more important opinion. This is on the U.S. economy and when the Fed is really expected to cut rates from Michael Feroli of JP Morgan. Listen in.
I think you'd have to have a pretty significant deterioration in the economy, unlike I don't think what any of us are expecting to get to a March cut. That said, clearly second half cuts are not just what the median dot portrays, but a vast majority of the committee is looking for a number of cuts this year. So I don't think the idea that cutting in next year. I think June will be appropriate because we'll probably have core PC inflation running by about 2.5% by then, which is, I think, close enough to what the Fed's looking for to start to, as Chair Powell said, dial back some of the restraint. However, if we stall in this progress in inflation that Stephanie mentioned earlier in the second half of this year, then that could push that timing out. But we think June is probably a good placeholder for now.
All right, expecting a rate cut in June of next year. That is the word coming in from JP Morgan. But with that, let's also bring you the final update in our global market wrap this morning. For European markets, they ended Friday's trading session pretty mixed. So the CAC index was up around 21 points. The German index, the DAX, closed absolutely flat like you can see on your screen. And you had the British FTSE slipping around 73 points at the end of the trading session. Now, the Pan-European Stock 600 closed near the flat line as well on Friday and posted its fifth straight weekly advance and its longest weekly winning streak all the way since April. Meanwhile, if you look at the macro picture, in the Eurozone region, the concerns really persist in the German area, with the preliminary survey indicating that Germany's economic downturn worsened in the month of December, pointing to a recession in the year end. Now, if you take a look at the France markets, you have the French business activity which declined faster than expected as well. So those are some key data points that are coming out of the region and are important to take note of. But with that, let's also talk about our own markets and how we are set up as we get into this brand new trading week. We have Vivek, Hormaz and Mangalam all joining us now. Guys, a very good morning to all of you. Vivek, let me come to you first. It is looking like the start will be a little bit lower, but that's after a stupendous rally that we've already had. Take us through what we should watch.
Good morning. Absolutely, record-breaking rally, and it'll be interesting to see whether this particular rally continues in this week as well. Like you mentioned, the handover has been quite strong. US markets, again notching record highs. Along with that, crude oil prices too quite supportive. Marginally fell on Friday. Brent futures now trading closer to the $76.50 a barrel mark. But let's have a look at how Indian markets fared last week and what is it that we need to look forward to in this particular week. Record rally further extended on Friday. Along with that, Nifty now trading above the 21,400 mark and the sensex is above the 71,000 mark. In the week gone by, the Nifty, Nifty Bank, Nifty Midcap Index and sensex, all of these indices gained greater than 2%, all of them at record highs. And on Friday, especially Thursday, Friday, you saw two sectors that were relative underperformers. That is the Nifty IT as well as the Nifty Metal Pack, both of them too extending the rally and joining this particular party. Now, when you're talking about the cash market, flows as far as FIs were concerned in cash market on Friday was very high, over 9,000 crore. But remember, we need to adjust these figures for the FTSE rebal buying, especially in HDFC Bank, and along with that, a couple of large block deals that we saw. What are the key events to watch out for today? Telecom bill will be tabled in Parliament today. Along with that, primary market activity is very, very robust. Inox India IPO closes today, but 3 fresh IPOs open today. So you have Muthoot Microfinance, Suraj Estates, Motilal Jewellers. Like you mentioned, Asian markets and GIFT Nifty may be a flat start for our own markets. It will be interesting to see whether Nifty can defend those crucial levels.
All right, Vivek, we will wait by and see how that plays out. Thanks a lot for getting us all of those cues. But let's also talk about all of the stock-specific action because there's been a lot over this weekend. So Hormaz is here to fill us in. Hi, Hormaz.
Morning, Pavitra. And I'll start off with Z Entertainment. Some developments last evening where it has requested Sony to extend the effective date of the merger, which was supposed to be the 21st of December. Mazgaon Dock will be in focus after it has signed a contract worth $42 million with a European client, which is for the construction of 3 multi-purpose hybrid power vessels, and the first of which will be delivered within 27 months of the contract taking effect. Lupin's abbreviated new drug application, or the ANDA, for the allopurinol tablets has received a US FDA approval, and this product will be manufactured at its Pithampur unit, and this drug is set to have 12-month sales of around $88 million in the US. A couple of developments on Zydus Life. The first one being that it has received a US FDA approval to initiate phase 2 clinical trials for its ZYL1, and that trial will be conducted in patients with the Parkinson's disease, and the second one being that it has also received a US FDA approval for the lacosamide tablet, which is used in the treatment of seizures, and that drug will be manufactured at its Moraiya plant and has annual sales of around $250 million. Granules India, where the US FDA has completed its good manufacturing practices inspection at its Virginia unit with 5 observations. That inspection was conducted between the 11th and the 15th of December. Welspun Corp and its arm has finalized an investment of up to 807 crore rupees to set up a manufacturing facility in Telangana. Insecticides India, it has received a 20-year patent from the government for a novel compound that it has discovered. And a couple of board meets, Vedanta to consider an interim dividend, and Salazar Techno on the 20th to consider a bonus issue of shares. And lastly, Solar Industries, where 9 people lost their lives at an explosion at its Nagpur facility, and the state government has offered a compensation of 5 lakh rupees to the victim families. Back to you.
All right, Orma, thanks a lot for getting us all of those details, and tragic news coming through there from the Solar Industries plant. But with that, let's also move on and talk about how things are looking on the F&O side of things. Mangalam is here to bring us through all of the details. Mangalam, solid session on Friday. Take us through what we should watch.
Solid session on Friday, and that's what gives one the confidence that, despite this gap down that the GIFT Nifty is indicating, bulls will go ahead and lap that gap down as well, because that's the momentum that the market has been in. In fact, we were just about 7 or 8 points away from the 21,500 mark on Friday as well. The Nifty did extremely well, and that was on account of a couple of factors. So all through the day, we had the IT index do well. In fact, it was the best performing index in the last couple of days, and the Nifty Bank was silent for most part of the day. Second half, we had both those engines firing. As you can see, the Nifty Bank ending above that 48,000 mark as well, and now closing in on that 50,000 as we speak. The Nifty Bank, of course, was aided by HDFC Bank, which saw a lot of inflows. So the FIs bought over 9,000 crores, the DIs sold around 3,100 crores, and that was largely on account of the FTSE rebalancing. So that's why those numbers look extremely high, but definitely a positive move nevertheless. FIs also bought 1,400 crores in index futures, and that was again a positive, because the previous couple of trading sessions, we saw them add a few shorts or unwind a couple of long positions as well. But all of those shorts were taken to the cleaners on Friday, with FIs covering in nearly 6,600 short contracts and adding 8,000 long contracts. With that, the long-short ratio back to 60-40% itself. And even in stock futures, we did see some shorting in the previous couple of sessions, but that came undone with the shorts having to cover nearly 34,000 of their contracts on Friday itself. Now, with the GIFT Nifty indicating a gap down, what is the support that you should be looking at? 21,400 seems like an important area of support, largely because we saw nearly 1 crore shares being written between 21,300 and 21,400 puts. 21,500 puts too had some writers. On the way up, however, in the very near term, 21,600 to 21,700 may be a bit of a congestion for the Nifty, because that's where the call writers are active. 21,500 call comes up for you. Were we to cross that, then the road opens to 22,000, and that's where a lot of punt buying has taken place as well. 22,000 call has added 16 lakh shares or a premium of 8 odd rupees itself. What does the options data indicate? Well, support around that 21,400 mark, congestion above 21,650. In terms of stocks, I'll be watching out for Infosys and SBI, whether there is further short covering and long build-up on all these counters. And a lot of long positions were added on Nalco. So the metals pack is something that I'll be watching out for in today's trading session as well.
Okay, Mangalam, thanks a lot for taking us through all of those cues and how things are looking on the F&O side as well. But with that, it is time for a short break. On the other side, we're going to bring you excerpts from our conversation with Rajiv Chandrasekhar, the Minister of State for IT and Electronics, from the sidelines of the CNBC TV 18 Money Control Global AI Conclave. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome back. You're still tuned into Power Breakfast, and let's get you an exclusive now. Electronics and IT Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar, speaking at the Global AI Conclave, shed light on artificial intelligence ecosystem in India and how its area of focus should really be to get our academic institutions to create the talent needed for the development of artificial intelligence. So let's listen in to some more comments that he did provide at the conclave.
Today, we are already at an inflection point, the AI ecosystem in India. To get it really going and fly to the Mars and the Saturn and the moon of AI, we certainly don't need those resources. I can tell you, I can report from GPay in Delhi that what we are seeing in terms of real action, real solutions, real IP that is coming out of the Indian ecosystem without all of this tells me clearly that you don't need anything even remotely close to the semiconductor. Semiconductor, the investments are huge, the capital investments are huge, as you know, and you know, a fab costs you $7-8 billion, so it's not in the same ballpark.
All right, that is the word coming in from Rajiv Chandrasekhar. But some more important news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Surat Diamond Bourse yesterday. Now, the mega structure consists of 9 15-story buildings and houses over 4,000 offices. The building actually has officially surpassed the United States' Pentagon as well and is known as the world's largest office building. It will be a global center for diamond and jewelry business. At the inaugural ceremony, Prime Minister Modi said that the new Diamond Bourse will create employment opportunities for more than 1.5 lakh people. Okay, with that, it is time for us to get into a short break. But on the other side, we're going to shift focus, talk all about what's going on in the world of commodities. There's been a little bit of a price rise in crude. So we'll get you all of the details in just a bit. Welcome back. We've gone through how the equity markets are looking and what the trade setup for our own markets looks like as well. But let's now talk about how things are on the commodities end. We have Manisha joining us with an update. Manisha, take us through what's really played out over the weekend.
Thank you for that, Pavitra. Well, I'll start with the crude oil prices where we are holding gains. There are lower exports from Russia. There are weather concerns there. And then Russia also has said that it would cut exports for the month of December by 50,000 barrels per day, more than what it had agreed earlier. Also, the attacks by Houthis on ships in Red Sea has been yet another reason that you have seen the crude oil prices hold above $70 a barrel. It has been good going for the metals as a sector also. The dollar index, after posting the biggest weekly decline in 5 months, is what really seems to be supporting metals. So you have copper prices trading in the positive. Aluminum gained 4.5% in the previous week, which is the best weekly gain in 5 months. And we are looking at many of these metals actually holding on to their gains right now as well. It's going to be about the Bank of Japan meeting. It's China loan prime rates coming in on Wednesday, and then Japan inflation data coming in on Friday. So this is the final set of data that you will see before the year ends, and it's going to be quite market moving in that sense.
Oh, absolutely. We're waiting by for all of that data from Asia as well. Manisha, thanks a lot for getting us all of those details and that update on how the commodities are moving. But with that, let's also bring you the latest weather updates. Heavy rain batters southern parts of Tamil Nadu due to a cyclonic circulation formed over the Indian Ocean and southwest Bay of Bengal off the southern coast of Sri Lanka. Now, heavy rains have caused flood-like situations in several regions. The Met Department has also issued an orange alert in southern parts of Tamil Nadu and Kerala as heavy to very heavy rainfall is expected during the next 2 to 3 days. The Tamil Nadu government has also declared a holiday for educational institutions in several districts. Okay, so that is the weather situation. We'll bring you more on this as the day does move ahead. But with that, we're going to wind down on this edition of Power Breakfast with the news that the Asian markets are definitely muted this morning. The implied open for our own markets is down around 70 points, but after what has been a very solid rally, so we can't really complain about that. Thanks for tuning into Power Breakfast. We have Bazaar Morning Call up in 2.
CNBC TV 18, embarking on a quarter century of excellence.